What time is it?
It's Clean Comedy Time!
Welcome to the Clean Comedy Time podcast.
I'm Aaron Sorrells.
And I'm Brian Atkinson.
Today, our guest is Cam Big Fella Rowe.
Cam is indeed a big fella. He is a Detroit area comic, and he's a big guy. He's a big comic, and we're going to talk to him about the good, the bad, and the funny.
Here's the thing about being a parent, though. Like, I'm broke right now. So to save money, I send my son to my cousin's daycare. When I tell you guys it's the most ghetto daycare you've ever seen in your life, like, how do you own a daycare and you don't have custody of your own kids? I gotta do better for my baby.
Oh, Cam, thank you very much for joining us in the Clean Comedy Time podcast.
Cam, we are excited to talk to you. We're so happy that you are here.
Thank you, guys. I'm glad to be here. Clean Comedy Time. That means I can't cuss, right?
That's right. If it happens, we'll just use the squeaky toy and get that out of there. So, Cam, in that clip that we just heard, we heard about the ghetto childcare that your son is in. How old is your son now?
So my son is he's 5 now. When I lived in California, I had a cousin who went to daycare. So I used to live in California. I'm from Michigan, but yeah, it was a it wasn't that bad, but it was a daycare that I could afford at the time. So
Sure,
I put him in there, and my cousin had a custody battle a while ago, but obviously got that squared away. But I thought it made for a good joke. You know what I mean?
It does. Yeah, it's a great joke. Yeah. And I think, so the clips that we're listening to were from the Somerset Campground show that we did back in July. We had a great time there. The audience just really seemed to enjoy it. It was a sort of outdoor show under a big tent, like a circus, big green and white striped tent. And we weren't expecting that, but it worked out great, I thought.
It did. I thought it was fantastic. I mean, kids were in the audience. I didn't know what to expect. I even got heckled by a couple kids. It was awesome.
I love that show. It was a little scary though, because like 10 minutes before showtime, there was not many people, and then 2 minutes before showtime, just somebody rang the bell and people just flooded in.
Yeah, we had a good couple hundred people there. It was nice.
Yeah, it was really nice.
About how long have you been at comedy?
I've been doing comedy about 8 years now. Wow, it doesn't even seem that long now, but about 8 years. So I know it's crazy. It just sneaks up on you, man. So I started in LA. I started performing open mics, different stuff like that. And I moved to Hollywood. And when I moved to Hollywood, I met a guy who asked me first he asked me, did I want to work security? And I was like, no, not really. Then he was like, well, on my TV show, I have a TV show. I want you to be the security guard. And I said, oh, that's a different story. Yeah.
Totally different.
And then come to find out that guy
security.
what was that?
I'll pretend to do security.
I'll pretend, exactly. And come to find out he was a stand-up comedian. I've been doing comedy for like 2 weeks. And he asked me how long I've been doing comedy. I told him 6 months so I could sound like a vet. And he really took me under his wing, man. He started putting me on shows. Early on, I was hosting where I had to be clean, so he could get on stage and be as dirty as possible. But I learned how to work clean early, which I think is really, really important.
It is, yeah. There's the old adage: clean comedy is green comedy. You can get paid if you can work clean.
Exactly.
And then, so you started doing comedy in Los Angeles, and then moved back to Detroit. It's usually the other way around.
That is right.
Start in LA and work your way up to West Michigan.
Exactly. Well, I thought you had to move to LA to do comedy. So I was actually working for a tobacco company, and they moved me out to LA. That was like I was a territory sales manager. That was my territory, Los Angeles. And I was like, okay, cool. I'm going to be out here, and I didn't know what I want to do at first. I knew I wanted to do something with like television. I wanted to be on television And I used to love sitcoms. I still love sitcoms. I always wanted to be on sitcoms. I said most of these guys who are the stars of these sitcoms started doing stand-up. So that's where that came from. So like Seinfeld, Cosby, all those people, that's, stand-up was their bread and butter. And I started doing it, and I loved it.
You had some fun. You did some things in L.A. How long were you out there?
I was in L.A. for about 8 years. I didn't start doing stand-up right away when I was in L.A.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Now, I didn't know if I've ever even told Aaron this. I lived in Los Angeles for about a year, kind of right out of college. Like, I'm going to go there. I'm going to be an actor, and I'm going to just do that. And I worked as a security guard. And, I'm like, 6'1", a little bit on the burly side, but not in your league.
Yeah, Cam, you're 6'9", right?
Yes, 6'9", weigh about too much.
Yeah, there you go. And for me, it was really just like I was a good security guard, like in a record store. So I could like walk around and be like, "Oh, he's watching. I'm not gonna." They weren't thinking I was going to throw anybody out of the record store. It's really just I would be watching, and so yeah. And I had, shoplifters all the time, and I would follow them out and bring them back in and stuff. And, security guards, I don't think it's ever what you think it is. But then you ended up playing a security guard on a TV show. How did that go?
Yeah. So it was a TV show called Storage Hunters. So the guy, Sean Kelly, who, I guess I don't want to say discovered me, but he saw me walking down the street and asked me to be on his show. He was a comedian, and he actually created this television show. So you guys have seen probably Storage Wars, all those storage shows. He actually was the first guy to create that concept. And him and his buddy were actually working on the concept for Storage Wars. His buddy stole the idea and sold it to A&E. So he had to come up with Storage Hunters, which is kind of like it looked like the bootleg. It looked like he was copying him, but he actually created the entire idea.
Man.
So, yeah. So, he did manage to get his show on as a competitor. It definitely was not as big as Storage Wars. Storage Wars actors, they had their own trailers and, making really, really good money. And, we were on the opposite side of that.
Yeah. Well, if you ever see me running something called Clean Comedy Hour, you will know that,
that things didn't work out.
Does
that mean I would be in a fancy trailer?
Yes, you would be in a fancy trailer at a campground for sure.
Yeah.
Now, Cam, I don't want to dwell on how tall you are too much, but you did talk about that a little bit at our show.
So I don't know if you guys can tell on the stage, but I promise you, I'll stand next to you after this show. I'm a tall guy, big guy, tall guy. I'm 6'9", you guys. Right? That's right, 6'9". Now, don't Google me. I didn't make it. It's okay. I didn't. No, I didn't. Actually. Well, here's the thing. I'm 6'9". I'm a 6'9" guy who failed at sports. Right? Let me say it again. I'm a 6'9" black guy who failed at sports. Right? And I really like the black sheep of my family because I come from a sports family. Like my cousin, Willie Crawford, he was 6'4", won a World Series for the LA Dodgers back in the day. Right? Yeah. Not only that, my father, Curtis Rose, 6'7". He's a March Madness legend. He won 3 national championships for UCLA under Coach John Wooden. Yeah. Then in 1971, he got drafted by the Detroit Pistons. And he became an NBA All-Star. I'm Cam Rowe. I was 6'9". My last job was at Coney Island, you guys. They're like, your boy play ball? We're like, no, he can make the heck out some chili cheese fries.
And I think I do need to explain for those people who are listening outside of Michigan, a Coney Island is a diner.
Yes.
And they specialize in putting chili on things.
Chili on everything.
Yes. Boy, omelets, burgers. Yeah.
Boy, that kid was relentless with you, Cam.
Yeah.
I know. I told you, getting heckled by the kids. I love it. It was awesome.
Yeah. Oh, and I'm so glad that our camera and microphone and everything picked that up, because boy, the kid was hilarious. Man,
he was crushing it.
Oh, and you handled it so well. You just, worked with him and stuff.
Of
so
course.
That was great.
Yeah.
Or her, I can't tell. Sure.
Yeah, I can't go back at the kids. Only my own kids, but
Right. So you come from this kind of sports legacy family and everything, and then chili cheese fries.
Yeah. So Willie Crawford. That's true. He is my cousin. Is my dad's first cousin. He played Major League Baseball. He's actually the best athlete in my family. Everyone says he ran track. He played football, and he also was a Major League Baseball player. He played 12 years in the major leagues for the Dodgers.
Oh, wow.
And just an incredible athlete. And then comes my father, who played at UCLA. He's from they're both from South Central Los Angeles, but my father played with John Wooden at UCLA, back in the years when they never lost, and he won 3 national championships. 2 of those championships was without Kareem or without Bill Walton. So that's amazing. So and then comes to me. I mean, I was okay. I didn't really, people had big high hopes because I was taller than my dad, bigger than my dad, but you got to work hard, and you got to have some type of skill up front, which I think it skips every generation. I think my son will be good.
There you go.
Okay. All right. Good. And then there were the chili fries, and I played sports in high school and a little bit in college, and I'll tell you right now, it was the chili fries that did me in.
I'm telling you, that's what it was.
Well, a lot of people don't know this, but making a good chili cheese fry, that also skips a generation. So.
Oh, that is a shame. That should always be passed down as part of the oral tradition for sure.
It should, man.
Yeah. So, I remember the first time I saw you. You had done that bit. You introduce yourself, because a lot of people can say things like, I know what I look like, and here I am. This is what I look like, and you're a mountain of a man, and I mean that in the most complimentary, fearful way possible. But it's self-deprecating, and also you come out as the hero there. You become identifiable, that people just don't see you as like you're. Because how many people in the audience are like, oh yes, we also played for the Dodgers in the World Series and March Madness with UCLA and Coach Wooden. So many of us have done. That's not the part they identify with.
Exactly.
Well, and it's interesting though too, because I mean, immediately your teddy bear personality comes through, and if there is anybody in the audience that's intimidated by you visually, as soon as you start talking, it warms them up and makes them feel safe and cozy.
Yeah, and that's just I've always been that way. That's how I am. That's not a persona. Like that's just I've always been a teddy bear. I've always tried to. Even when I try to intimidate people, once they get to know me, they're like, he's not me, but
okay. and I think you had said that in a bit as well, where they asked you to be a security guard, and I'm like, I don't think that's me. Where they, like you'd be like, can I hug him? Can I, what do you?
Yeah, exactly, man. Like, I mean, that. I've always been that way. I mean, I've been in a couple fights, but not, I'm more definitely a lover, not a fighter. So I've always tried to be the peacemaker. Even if one person, that I fought, which I probably did win. I was a kid, like 10 or 11.
Sure.
But I just felt so horrible. Like I couldn't stop thinking about it. And I was like, man, I'm so sorry. Like, I'm like, I don't want to get in fights just because I just felt how bad I felt afterwards,
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's just me. I can't, I can't shake that. I wish I could. If I was meaner, I'd probably be in the NBA or something.
I played football, and so it's like, this is the game. So you're all padded up and you run into each other. But I was in a couple of fights in, grade school and high school and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But never since then, of course. And that's exactly my experience too, is you just feel terrible. Like, I didn't want to hurt anybody. I didn't want to get hurt. I didn't want to. You feel like, I was a bully. It's just terrible. So yeah.
I know. I thought about that. I said that'd be a good job. Talking to those like real mean players. Like DeMarcus Cousins or somebody. Like, hey man, just chill out. You know what I mean? Like, it'd be nicer, DeMarcus. I could do that.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah. And so you could be like a sports motivational speaker. Getting everybody to just be calm. Hey guys,
be calm. Be mean on the court, but off the court, be nice.
It's just a game.
I made it to the NBA. I'm a counselor.
That's right.
I was thinking also about some of the things that you talked about. Your family likes pranks.
Yes. And my father is the biggest prankster. He loves to have fun. Like, and I say it in my stand-up, which is totally true. My father used to pull up, especially in his heyday when he was in the NBA, driving nice cars. Even in college, he was driving nice cars. I don't want to touch on that, but every time he had a nice car he would drive, he would pull up next to a white person and they would make eye contact. He would lock his doors.
Yes.
He did it all the time. He would do it like so much so I would be like, Dad, stop doing that to these white people, man. Like that's these underprivileged people. Stop doing that.
Dad, come on. They can't help it.
I know they can't. I really did. I thought it was wrong. I thought it was so wrong. But when I got older, I realized, oh man, that's really funny.
Now, but isn't your mom also a pretty good prankster?
She is. My mom is a realist. Like she doesn't sugarcoat anything, and she'll tell you exactly how. I don't even think she tries to be funny. She's just so honest, and she just comes across as very funny.
That's the best.
That's just her. Yeah. Oh okay. Yeah. And she'll be dead serious, but she's so everybody thinks she's funny. She doesn't though. That's the funny part.
Oh.
Does she listen to podcasts? Are you going to get in trouble for this?
Yeah.
No, I might. I don't know. I know it's funny, man. Like my mom will be like I posted something, I said back in, when I was in high school in 1999, the late 90s, she would say, Cam, come, you better clean this room up. And I said, dang, I can't wait till I get older. I don't have to listen to what she said. I get my own place. She pulls up to my house like, Cam, you need to clean these gutters. Get these gutters cleaned right now. I'm like, oh, it never ends.
Yeah. And then you're married. Your wife. I remember you telling us that she's from Compton.
Yes.
Yeah. And did you meet her out in LA when you were there, or
I did. I met her in a. I actually met her through a mutual friend. So one of my friends who had just moved out there, his now wife, knew my wife, and then they introduced us. And I had a girlfriend at the time, and she lived out of state. And then we just became friends because I had a girlfriend. So we were friends for like 2 years, and I got to know her. And then I don't even know how we started dating. I'm trying to remember.
She was out of state. Well,
yeah, that's what happened. But yeah, I guess over time we just started because we would always hang out, but we were just friends, and then just one thing led to another. I guess I'm just trying to think the actual moment.
And I'm not saying my wife is like a thug or a gangster just because she's from Compton, but just to be safe, I'm gonna wear the color blue around. For the 4th of July, I had to wear red, white, and red just to be safe. Married that long, only like a few years, but I think men and women, like, they handle it differently in terms of the engagement process. I think women, you are genuinely happy for your female friend when you find out that they're getting married, right? Like, you'll post it on social media, like, oh my God, guess who's getting married? I'm so excited. Guys, we don't do that. When we found out our boy is getting married, we act like somebody died. Like, they'll be like, what? Cam Rose getting married? Oh man, I just seen him last week. I'm never going to see him again, man.
I have to give the audience credit right out of the gate, because you started with the, you don't wear the color blue around her.
Yeah.
And they laughed. Yeah.
I couldn't believe it.
You guys know what that means?
I know.
It was a church campground audience, and they got it.
How did that happen? Everybody's seen the movie Colors. Come on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I guess that's what it is.
All
is
right.
That what it is? Yeah, I was shocked. I was like, oh man, that's a good laugh. They got it. Cool.
Yeah. I was going to say, you had the kind of a straight out of Compton experience, and they were more of the straight out of Cotton Balls. Well, the time has come on our little podcast to take a break, but we'll be right back. Be sure to give us a review on Apple Podcasts so it's easier for people to find us, and like us on all your podcast favorites. We'll be right back.
Cam, thanks so much for sharing in that first half there. That was a lot of fun to relive some of those moments from that show. In this podcast, though, we do end up digging a little bit deeper. We like to know what's going well and what you're struggling with. So what's something that's going well for you, Cam?
Definitely for me, comedy I always like to look at in the positive light. So comedy's doing well. I think I'm in a good space with my family. I mean, I think being in the quarantine, I did have a closer relationship with my kids. I felt like I was gone all the time, so I got to know them more. I just thought that was awesome. So just different stuff like that. And I've just learned as I've gotten a little older to just look at the positive side of everything.
Man, that's a big deal, what you just said. That during quarantine, you got to know your kids better, huh?
Yeah, I felt like I got to know them much, much better.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Who are these kids?
I know. You don't even realize, even though they're little people, they have feelings too. They go through stuff. I totally not that I wasn't aware, but as a parent, you're just focusing on, being the provider or whatever it is, and you got to really take time to, at least for me, spend more time with them, not just being there, but actually being involved more. And that's something that I definitely improved on.
Yeah, well, and it's great to hear that that's something that you say is going well, that those relationships are deeper, you're knowing them more. And
yeah, for sure. And I didn't even realize, how, because you go through the motions of going to work, and then with stand-up, it was a lot of traveling I was doing, just around the Midwest and stuff like that. So I'd be gone on the weekends, and so it was a good break, and I recognize that. So now I know I can improve that in the future, especially since I talk about them all the time in my stand-up.
Have they heard your stand-up?
Yeah, a little bit. They can't hear everything, but they like it. My son, my 13-year-old. I mean, he technically is my stepson, but I only use that for the joke. But I've been in his life since he was 2, so he doesn't really know anything more than just me. His biological father is not around as he should be, but
so early on, how did you approach that with him?
Well, funny thing is, my stepson's biological father, he was, I'm trying to think of the word. It's a clean comedy show, so I can't say anything nice right now. I mean, it's bad. But no, his biological father got to know him when he was about 4. I was already in his life, and he was just stressing, you need to call me father, you need to call me that. This man that he just met, and the only reason why he met him is because he got I believe a child support letter or whatever it was. But so he took the approach oh, well, since I'm going to be in your life, you have to call me this and have to call me that. And then my stepson came to me when he was about 4 and a half or 5, and he said, he called him, by his name. He said, he's making me call him dad. He said, but can I call you dad?
Oh, man.
And that's how that happened. So I said, wow, and I didn't have biological children at the time. But I took that serious. I said, yeah, absolutely you can. Man, and then he's been calling me dad ever since.
Sounds like that was a really powerful conversation.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I was I'm a little sensitive anyway, but I was definitely teary-eyed over that. So
that's cool.
For sure.
Yeah.
Special boy. Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, Yeah, that's and I ask about that because a lot of people don't know this, but my oldest daughter, who's in every way, shape, and form my daughter, I adopted her when she was 2 years old, and my wife and I got married. And it makes for some interesting dynamics when dad is also stepdad. What is that? How do you handle it? And from pretty much as early as she can remember, I was dad, but we also told her about how that came to be, and I'm glad that we were honest with her about me being dad, but also me adopting her into that role.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, and she's great. She's probably my favorite kid.
Yeah, that's why.
This is your other daughter and your son understand that, of course.
This is a test to see which of my kids listen to the podcast.
Oh, yeah, awesome.
I tell my stepson all the time. I say, "Look, I chose you. These other two, I didn't have a choice.
There you go.
But I chose you."
Yeah. That's cool. But yeah, I mean, that's commendable, man. Because kids need a strong father figure in their life, and for you to step into that role, that's commendable. I think that's awesome. And again, I just think that you looking back over this last year and a half and seeing the benefits and seeing the positive outcomes of really becoming even closer with your family and getting to know them better. That's awesome. I commend you for that, my friend.
Yeah. And you don't even realize it, you're just going through life and, you're like, oh, I'm here, but it's gotta be more than just being there, just being present, be present in their lives, being involved. So yeah, that's something that I definitely was like, I got to do a better job at that. It's not anything that they complained about and it's something I didn't even realize I was doing, and everything was fine, but I realized you can improve, you can do better, you can be better.
Well, and that right there, man, that's big to admit, to say, hey, this is a shortcoming that I saw, and I've corrected it, and I'm better for it. I mean, that's a lot of people, and myself at times. It's difficult to admit when we fall short. Man, but so much good comes from it when we just can recognize our own shortcomings and then work on them.
I know it totally does. It's just, I think, the older you get, you just start to be honest with yourself. And I think that's ties into comedy too. The more honest you are on stage about stuff, the better the jokes are, the more, it could be anything. You can, as comedians, we know how to create the jokes, but if our jokes come from the truth, that is what can separate you from the rest of the pack, or just, be the best comedian that you can be.
Amen. That's absolutely right. I think if there's fundamental truth in what we're doing, and that's not just comedy. I mean, it's easy to recognize in comedy, but I think in anything that any of us are doing, if we can be genuine and real, we're going to be the best we can be at it.
Absolutely.
Well, rock on, man. So, outside of just having more time together, what do you attribute that to on being able to actually kind of get to know each other better?
Well, we've just been hanging out more. I've just been involved more, especially, my stepson. He's actually 14 now, so he's starting to, watch. Starting to watch. I was going to say watch women. He's starting to like women.
Yeah.
We're just having more mature conversations. So teaching him about the birds and the bees, and he can't watch everything that is free online because he's watching a lot of free online stuff that I had to, talk to him about. I think it's funny having those conversations, with him about birds and the bees and just different stuff, and just really being involved in his life and the stuff that he's going through. It's an amazing treat, man. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. 14's a tough age. I wouldn't have wanted to know me when I was 14.
I know.
But that's good. I mean, and again, it comes right back to that realness. It sounds like you're going to talk to them about about things, even if they're uncomfortable to talk about. That's awesome.
Exactly. Exactly. Like I caught him. He was watching anime, which I thought it was anime. It was a different version of anime. This is a clean podcast, but I laughed. Oh, sorry. But just having those conversations about him and teaching him about different stuff, and just realizing, stuff is okay. You have different hormones. You go through different things. Letting him, and for him to be comfortable to talk to me about certain things too, I think is great too.
Yeah, I mean that's huge to be able to approach very natural feelings and be able to do that without shame or fear, I guess is the right words. That's
exactly.
You're doing him an incredible service by creating that safe place to be able to talk about things. That's awesome.
Yes.
Like, I mean, I'm so impressed by you. That's incredible.
Oh, thank you, man. That's awesome. Yeah, it's a very, always with all my kids, but definitely with, like with my stepson, it's always been easy to even step in and be his father. It was always an easy thing. It was never like, oh, I'm doing this. It was just very easy. It was never hard.
So he's a good one.
Yes, he is. He's a great kid.
He's a keeper. That's good.
He is. I'm tough on him too. I don't think he realizes, because I am really tough on him, but just because he has a lot of potential, I think he can, obviously I want the best for him.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
As tough as I know how to be on anybody.
Yeah. I'm just taking notes here on the changes and feelings.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Brian, have you noticed that you're going through some changes?
At 54, I am going through some. I'm having hair is growing in places that it hasn't before, and
Cam will sit down with you and talk all that through.
That's right.
You want.
I will.
We'll talk it through. I'm the 6'9" therapist or something.
The 6'9" therapist.
Yeah, SNL.com. SNL skin.
Good stuff. Yeah, if you're going to pick something that's going well, family relationships is a good thing to pick. What's something that you're struggling with, though, Cam?
Struggling with. So I would say, just like in comedy or just in general.
Anything you want, man. What's something on your mind? What's something you're struggling with?
Okay, yeah. Well, I'll start with comedy. So I would just say for me, with comedy, I want to get better at being in the moment. I would say, like, I'm pretty good when it comes to like having a set and knowing what I'm going to say. And depending on, just doing comedy for the last 8 years or so, I've been, I can have my set starting in LA, when to be, I can do 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 15, 12, 20, 25, 45. I can do all that and I keep it pretty tight. But I think when it comes to like crowd work and other stuff and being more in the room, that's something I definitely need to work on. It's something I never really focused on before.
So kind of transitioning from like a predetermined set to kind of being in the moment.
Yep, right. Being more in the moment. Now, I can be in the moment while I'm doing my set. I can say something here. It's like with the kid. That's not an issue. But I think just more of it and trusting myself to just, I'm going to create what I'm going to say while I'm on stage right now. And it's not an open mic. It's a show.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a scary feeling. I know I remember one time at Sunday Night Funnies, which is kind of like a hybrid. It's an open mic, but it's, as you know, you've been there many times. It's a real good crowd and it feels more like a show than an open mic. But I remember the first time I was there and Brian said, hey, there was a drop. You want to go up? And I actually took the stage without having any idea what I was going to say. And it was a terrifying thing, but it kind of helped build that muscle of being able to trust, like you said.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. Man.
So how are you going to develop that, or how are you going to work towards that?
I would just say, doing more shows where a set is not going to save you. Like, for example, I just did a family reunion type of show where, people are walking around getting ice cream and hot dogs. Like, that's not the place where there's so much distractions going on. That's not the place where you're doing a set. You're going to get their attention.
Right.
So I would say,
that sounds
stuff
terrifying
like
to me.
It is. There's a lot of places, in the city of Detroit is a lot of places are like that too, where you gotta, a lot of times you gotta like mess with the crowd a little bit to get their attention, and it's just stuff like that. It's just stuff I wanna venture out and doing. And I know if you're on television, the set is the best thing that you can do for the most part, right? Yeah. So I feel like I got that. Not I want to say I got it down, but I'm definitely more comfortable doing that. I wouldn't be nervous at all if I had to go on TV and do 15, 10, I don't care where, if it was the Tonight Show, I'd be excited. But if they said just create your setup off the top, I know I could do it, but I would have to trust myself more to do it.
Yeah,
so
I hear you. And I've heard that actually, like there are a lot of comedians that focus more on corporate work, like corporate comedy.
Yeah.
They've described an experience similar to that family reunion where it couldn't be about you. It can't be about the comedian or their set. It's got to be really about the audience.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So that's a comedy thing that you're struggling with, but it sounds like you got a pretty good idea on pushing through and developing that. What's something else on your mind that you might be struggling with?
Well, I guess it is true. I mean, for me, definitely, I just turned 40, so I want to change my eating habits. That's definitely something that I've been working on. Sometimes I've like I did intermittent fasting for I did it for a few months, and then I kind of slid off. So I just want to get back to that and focused on that because actually my brother-in-law, who was younger than me, actually ended up passing away. And I don't know if it was necessarily like weight related or anything like that, but he had an aneurysm and that just freaked me out. It just really got me focused. So I need to get back to that. And so I would just say, and then when I say, because I was serious, I had a friend who became a vegan. He was like my size. Now he's like 220 pounds. He's a vegan. I was like, I'm telling people I want to be a vegan. They think I'm joking like as a comedian. So they start laughing. So I'm like, dang, I got to really improve what I'm doing because people don't even take me seriously when I say it. So that is, if that's anything, that's definitely something that I'm actually focused on now and working on.
Yeah, that's a big mile marker, 40. That's kind of caused
for sure.
Open up the opportunity to kind of reassess a bit.
Yes. Yeah, because I always look at stuff and then I like make excuses. I'll say, oh, John Goodman's still living. He's like, 70. What I mean?
A good statistical sampling like John Goodman.
Right. I look at every big person that's still.
Yeah.
And he actually lost a lot of weight too recently. So.
Oh yeah, I had heard that.
Yeah,
good job, John. If you're listening, good job on that.
Good job.
Very proud of you,
Babe Ruth.
Yeah, that's tough. I mean, coming from a recovery background, the recovery program that I went through was Celebrate Recovery, and it wasn't just about alcohol. People could come in for any number of things, and there were a lot of people in there that struggled deeply with food, and it's amazing how the psychological games and the difficulties of alcoholism really apply towards everything that people are struggling with, whether it's food or pornography or anything else. It's the same mental struggle,
Yeah.
And
yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I would just encourage you, man. When I look at you, I see somebody who's got a heart that is just caring and loving the people around them, present in those experiences. I see somebody that has an incredible amount of value and somebody who's not shy on delivering that value to the people around them. So I hope that that's what you see too when you look in the mirror.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. Honestly, thank you.
Yeah, you're a good dude, my friend. And again, it's like just seeing you on stage. One of the neat things about you is you're the same on stage as you are off stage. whether it's talking to you before the show or after show or while you're on stage, that moment when you give the audience the ability to connect with you and say, hey, this guy isn't as intimidating as he might have first looked. I mean, that's a special thing, man.
Yeah, for sure. And I've heard that my whole life, honestly, even way before I was doing comedy too. So, I mean, to me, it's just me being me, but I've heard that a lot through different people. So that's amazing to even, it's like I'm my own person, which is, may not have made it in pro sports the way it may have been expected to, but there's different qualities that I have, which I think is cool.
Yeah. Pro sports. I didn't make it in pro sports either.
I didn't either. Yeah. See how much we all have in common?
Three of us, and none of us are professional athletes. That's
exactly. I think for me as a kid, who different people would just be at my house, like older players, like Dave Bing, Bob Lanier, Mel Farr, if you guys remember Mel Farr, the superstar, different people like that. So pro athletes were just coming in through my house all the time. They were retired by the time I came around, but it was just, it just seemed like a normal thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and it can build some expectation and that.
For sure. Oh, big time. Yeah, big time. So that was like, I think I got to the point with basketball where I didn't even try probably as much as I would have wanted to, honestly, because I just felt like it was such a feat to get to that level. And the thing about my father, he never even talked to me about playing or like, you got to be this kid. He really wanted me to do whatever I wanted to do, which I think with comedy, I really first got introduced with comedy with my father. He loved Richard Pryor. Richard Pryor is his favorite comedian of all time. And he used to let me watch Richard Pryor stand-ups with him. And I just remember how much he would be laughing. And this is the guy that I admired and looked up to so much. And just seeing him loving Richard Pryor, I was like, I guess in the back of my mind, I said, I want to do something like that. Because my father loves comedy. Like, he loves the fact that I'm doing it.
Wow. That's great. What a lightning rod moment to be able to think back on, and that's awesome.
Yeah.
So Cam, if somebody wanted to find you and watch you or listen to you use those gifts that your dad encouraged,
yes,
what would be a good way for them to find you? Website, social media? What's your favorite?
Yep. So you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Is the same. It's Cam Big Fella Rowe. So CAM Big Fella and then Rowe ROWE. So you can find me there. I'm working on getting a website. I really need to work on that. And I got some shows coming up. Well, I actually have a bunch of stuff coming up. I'm going to Las Vegas in September for the World Series of Comedy.
Cool.
And I got some stuff with Darren McCarty, who is a former NHL superstar. I opened a lot of shows for him. Mark Ridley's Comedy Castle, I'm doing that. Well, I'm not doing that till March, but different places. So yeah, look me up online and follow me, and I'll definitely post my shows so people can come out.
Cool.
Terrific. Thank you so much for being on the show, Cam. It has been an absolute pleasure to have you with us.
Yeah, Cam, always good to talk with you.
Thank you, guys. This is great. I love this. And I didn't cuss one time.
Thanks for listening to the Clean Comedy Time podcast.
We bring comedians together performing their clean material at showcases, fundraisers, and other events.
Our shows are free from coarse language and topics. They work for anyone, anywhere.
Check out cleancomedytime.com to find an upcoming show or to bring Clean Comedy Time to you.